Hi, my name is Darrell Wonge. I'm a director of photography and a photographer. I shoot commercials, TV, movies, and I do commercial photography. So the story behind my career pivot is I used to play professional basketball for 10 years overseas. I lived in over 12 different countries. And then I blew out my knee and my career was over pretty much at that point. So I had tried a bunch of different things. And then my wife and one of my best friends got me into like the creative space. I started out trying to film my rehab to try to get back into basketball. But I wasn't the same player no more. So I started shooting photos for my wife and wasn't good at it at first, but kept practicing. I would contact local photographers and ask them if I could meet them for coffee or lunch and pick a photo off their website and ask them to break it down for me. And then it would just practice from their teachings, watching tons and tons of YouTube tutorials. And eventually I got good at it. So from there, I started shooting and got some notoriety and started shooting for some big brands. And they asked me to do behind the scenes of like a L'Oreal commercial. From there, I saw a big production, commercial production, and it reminded me of basketball. It was like all these people with these set positions all coming together for the common goal. And right then and there, I knew I wanted to be a part of that life. So I asked around, got some more meetings, and tried to figure out how can I get on set. And then I was able to get an opportunity to PA on some commercials, and you just keep networking from there. And that led me to PA more. I did some second ACing, and I met my one of my mentors, Peter Adderfield, and he broke down to me what a cinematographer does, how they control lighting and the mood and the camera movement of a project. And I knew then I wanted to do that. So while I was PAing, I was constantly shooting my own work, spec work, constantly sending out emails to people to try to get meetings to build relationships so I could possibly get hired by them one day. And then the pandemic hit because I didn't get into the film industry until 2019. And then the pandemic hit and the world stopped, but I realized that people were stuck at home, so I would shoot out emails because I knew they weren't doing nothing. They had time to answer them back, and I started getting more Zoom meetings. People started seeing my work, and by chance and by luck, a DP passed up on a commercial project. I don't know if he was sick or just didn't feel comfortable doing the project because of COVID. But I ended up getting a phone call last minute to come out and do it the next morning. So I took the opportunity, I shot it, and it ended up being a national TV commercial around Canada. So I used that as leverage, and now I had that on my resume. So I kept pushing that out and sending it to executive producers, directors to get even more meetings. And because I've shot a national commercial, they they trusted me with more opportunities, and it just kept building from there. And it was just a lot of networking. Anytime I'm not on set shooting or spending time with my wife, shooting out emails to meet more people, get more meetings, get my name out there more, and build up a bigger network. How I choose my camera, my lenses, and the lighting equipment depends on the project. So I love the color science that RE cameras give out. Excuse me, I love the color science that RE cameras produce, and it's the closest thing to digital that emulates film to me. But most times I shoot on that. But for certain projects, I will shoot on red, depending on like if we need certain type of slow motion for it. And lenses, how I choose my lenses is to like everything else, like depends on the project. I really stay in the area of about like 3 to 5 different lenses. I really don't go outside that. I like vintage lenses. I like lenses that has like some imperfections in it because that's how I see the world. I don't see the world as clean cut and perfect. I see with imperfections. So if it's more of a character piece, um, or not so much pushing a product so heavy, then I'm probably using vintage lenses. If it's more of a tabletop, clean cut type piece, then I'm using more modern lenses. Um, like like on the shoot that I have coming up, we'll be shooting on master primes, and because they give a much more clean cut look, and it's tabletop shots that we have to get as well. So it really just depends on the project. And then my lighting, um, I like soft lighting with a combination if it's daytime. So it's like a lot of soft lighting with some hard slashes of lighting mixed in between it, so it could feel a little bit more natural. Um, Most of my lighting is done starts with backlighting and wrapping around the subject to make it feel more natural to the spacing. So I started off when I first started lighting faces like most people do, and then you grow to learn to light an area. You know what I mean? Light the whole room, and that's pretty much how I light now. You know, I'm trying to make it look as realistic as possible, so when the viewer's watching, they feel like they're in that environment. As a DP, you're depending on the project you're brought in at different parts. So sometimes they might even have the space already. I like to be in as early as possible. So if I'm there from the beginning, and they give me a bunch of different spaces, we'll look through. I mean, depending on the project, I want something that feels you hate shooting with all white walls. I mean, you're put in that situation sometimes, but I like spaces that have character in it. It just helps bring more depth to the project. And what I've learned from scouting is you have to know when to stand up and say no, because you'll get veto out sometimes, but like if a room might look good, but it might be in a bad location. So it's like where we're gonna put the trucks at, where we're gonna stash gear at, you know what I mean, things like that. So you always gotta take into consideration the power might not be strong enough there to get all to feed all the lights that you need to. Um, so you're taking a lot of things in consideration when you scout. And there's a bunch of good tutorials online where they speak about scouting and what you should carry with you, how you should look. I take photos and I take videos of every space that I go into. I know some DPs that use a 360-degree camera to do that as well, but you want to give yourself the best opportunity to succeed, right? So you have to take in your best case scenario, your worst case scenario, and you're trying to meet somewhere in the middle ground to make the best project. And if you're in a position where you could choose exactly where you want and with no fight back from other parts of production or client, those are ideal moments. But you're a team player, so you're trying to make it best for the whole project that's going to help all departments to do the best job they could do as well, right? So you go into it with an open mind, but you should go into every scout with a checklist and try to check off as many things as you can to help bring the best out of the project. An easier director to work with will be a director that has a clear vision. You know what I mean? They know what they want out the project and what they're trying to achieve out the project, but they're also collaborative. So it's like you're not just a yes person for them. They want to hear your opinion about about um about the project. They want you to help bring stuff to the table to help elevate it, right? So it's pretty much a back and forth, throwing ideas at each other, whether it's mood boards, whether it's you're sharing films or videos you've seen with each other to to open each other's mind creatively, right? Um, I like working with those type of directors. There are directors like you hear a story about like David Fincher who he maps out every single thing and the DP has to go along with everything that they have to the T. And some people like that, some people don't. I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. I only can speak to what I like. And when I work with directors, I like to be collaborative with them. And it helps things go better and smoothly when they understand the project and have a clear direction of it, right? And and they pretty much they know what they want and but are open to suggestions, are open to be collaborative, are open to experiments. And because you'll create a shot list, and on the day, even though we might have like, all right, we're gonna go with this wide shot here at this angle at this time of day, and then you get there and it's not feeling the way y'all envisioned, and but y'all are both open to like, all right, should this be the shot or can we find something better? And you're trying to map out time if you have the time, and you're open to suggestions, and you could mess around and find something beautiful in that. If you're in the creative arts in any type of space, my biggest suggestion to you would be as prepared as you can, and also don't be scared to fail. You know what I mean? Because, you know what I mean, shooting stuff and failing at it. And I don't mean feel like you did a bad job. I mean, feel like it might not came out to what you envisioned or to the best of your liking. You know what I mean? Experiment with things like that will help you grow. You learn from it. And, you know what I mean? You'll be even more prepared for next time. So be as prepared as you can. And that will help save you, because filmmaking to me is 90% problem solving. You know, you prepare as much as you can on a day, you're solving problems and figuring things out, right? And you just want to be as prepared for when things take a twist as you can. Um, and if you're shooting and you're an operator or cinematographer or photographer, same thing what I said before, but know your camera, know your tools, learn them as much as you can so you know how to push it and what you could get out of it. You know what I mean? I'll be in situations sometimes they'll be like, oh, is this underexposed? And I'm like, no, this is perfect right here because we're going to pull it up this way in post. And you can explain it, right? When people aren't feeling comfortable, they're going to look towards you for that answer, for that confidence that that you know what you're doing, right? So like if you know your equipment that you're using and the camera that you're using, you can explain to them so they feel more secure with the project, what they're doing. I'm a big believer of like a director of photography shouldn't show that they're nervous or scared or that they're losing it on set, because I feel like when they look unhinged or show that they're unhinged, the rest of the production will go downhill, because like you have so much on your plate that depends the project depends on you in so many different ways. And if you're showing that things are going bad, if your body language and you're expressing that, it will just trickle down to everybody else, right? So things like that, knowing equipment, knowing being ready to adapt because you're so prepared, will always help you from staying out of that happening. For me, what never gets easier is I guess two things. One, you're an artist, and when you do art, you're putting yourself out there for people to have opinions about your work and your art. And you gotta learn to be okay with people having those opinions, and what and being okay with you have to learn not to be down on yourself. I've seen people that's way more experienced than me, and myself included, get down on myself where it's because it might be you're not on set, so you feel like I'm not working enough, or you know what I mean, the piece of work that you created didn't get the responses you were hoping for. And sometimes that could lead you down a hole where it's like, am I good enough? Am I doing this job right? Should I even did this craft? I could have been doing other things, right? Um, that's a constant fight. And the way you battle that is reminding yourself that, you know what I mean, reminding the reason why you got into this, hopefully because you have a passion and love for it, keeping people in your circle that could put that battery in your back and give you that boost forward as like, no, you're good at this. You're okay. You know what I mean? You'll be good. It's all right. You're just in your head, because it's really easy to get in your head with that, right? Um, and I guess another difficult thing with it, I guess it ties into that, is social media, which is always a to me is a double-edged sword, where it can open up so many paths for you, but like when you're on it, you could see things like you could have bid for a job and lost and see somebody else shooting that job. And you're like, well, why them and why not me? Why is this person working so much more than me? Why this person won this award and I didn't? And you get that what was me feeling type thing like that, right? Instead of looking at all the good things that you're doing and how your career is going, right? So those I think are things that are difficult for artists or people in the industry that as social media keeps growing or just in jars in general that from what I've experienced, what I've seen talking to a bunch of different people in the industry, everybody goes through it. Everybody goes through these doubts and these problems, and you just have to pick yourself up and give yourself build yourself up to have the most confidence that you can, right? Um, but yeah, that I feel, I guess, would be one of the most difficult things in this, because like with basketball, I could score 40 points and you like you suck, and I'm like, well, the numbers don't lie, right? And there's nothing like that when you're a creative. Um, so yeah, I feel like that's something that's still difficult and you keep learning and learn to deal with. So the statement about the film industry being more about who you know and what you know, I think it's a combination of both. But yeah, you definitely have to network to make it you to get the opportunities to be able to do your job. And then if you get those opportunities and you do your job bad, then you know what I mean you have to know how you have to be prepared for those opportunities when they arrive, right? Because you'll key a career that way. But who you know is important, and because I feel like that in any industry you have to network to climb the ranks. You know what I mean? Unless you are the one kind of talent where you just do something and it gets all the notoriety in the world, then of course everybody's gonna come to you. But that's like hitting the lottery, right? You know what I mean? To be able to break through the noise, it's like hitting the lottery sometimes. So for most people, it's a slow grind. You know, I mean, it's building yourself up over time, right? Over projects, getting the experience, putting your 10,000 hours in, and to do that, you have to network. You have to get in front of people. You have to know people. People have to know your name and hear your name and be able to put a face to that name, right? Along with your work. So I think it's a combination of both. But I'm a big believer of no matter what line of work, what industry you're in, you should network. If you're trying to grow in your career and get higher, you should network. It will only help you. So when you first start on your career to help you get work, you have to build up a reel, right? No matter if you're a photographer, you know what I mean, or videographer, cinematographer, director, no matter what you are, whatever creative you are, you have to build up a portfolio. So I'm a big believer of shooting spec work. You know what I mean? You can start off shooting spec work by yourself with your own ideas, creating the whole thing, editing the whole thing, and you could team up with people that are also trying to grow and get more experience and build up their reel as well, right? That shooting spec work and networking. I mean, you should constantly be shooting, and so that comes along with shooting spec work. And you should be networking because you need to put yourself out there. You need to meet people because these are the people that can hire you for jobs. So you should look on Instagram. You should look on LinkedIn. You should wherever city you're in. You could go on Facebook. They have Facebook groups, whether it's for film, whether it's photography, where people are offering jobs, people are offering to collaborate, and this is how you could build up your network as well, right? So those combination of things, um, if you're just starting out, I believe that will help you get off the ground, along with finding a mentor or finding somebody that's in the lane that you want to be in and talking with them. Whether, you know, I mean, people are busy, so maybe they can't talk to you all the time, but like that you could ask some questions to that can answer them for you. Because it's maybe too hard to find for you online, or maybe that information is not accessible to you, right? Like the people that I look up to as mentors, they don't find me jobs or anything like that. What they do is when I have questions, they're able to answer and give me information that I can't find on my own. Or, you know what I mean? If I have a tough lighting setup or something like that, I'll talk to someone. I'm like, am I on the right path with this? Like, this is what I was thinking about doing. Have you ever been in a similar situation? You know, it's things like that. So yeah, I would say find a mentor, network, shoot as much as you can, shoot as much spec as you can, meet people, go to events. That's part of networking. You know what I mean? Go to events to meet people, to meet brands. You know what I mean? You don't always have to like work with like if you're doing photography, videography, or you know what I mean, cinematography, you don't always have to just work with go through the agency or production company. You can go straight to brands with some things, right? Like I shoot for Hennessy from time to time, and how that started was because I used to like take photos of their bottles and just tag them in it, and I got on their radar just by doing that, right? And now I have a personal relationship with them directly with the brand, not through an agency, not through a production company, but like actually with the actual brand, right? So those are ways I feel you could get yourself started. Some of the brands I worked with in the past are like L'Oreal, Lincoln, Hennessy, the NBA, bunch of banks like TD and CIBC. I mean, I've worked with a bunch of different brands, but how I balance my creative with their expectations is through communication, right? They'll have a project lined up and they'll have a board or a deck for it, and then want me to give my artistic expression through that. And so I'm honest with them. If I have ideas, I'm putting together a deck or a mood board explaining what I'm trying to accomplish here, and listening to their feedback on it of what they like about it, what they don't like about it, and then we talk to them trying to find some common ground, right? And once you get to that point, you're just doing what you do, you're shooting, right? But you start the process early as being honest as you can about what you're trying to achieve from it, where you see the creative at, expressing yourself with it. And sometimes you have to make the decision because everybody's at different points of their life, and you'll have to make the decision for yourself. But sometimes their creative might not align with your creative, and you'll have to make a decision. Either you want to sacrifice your creative to do the job, to work with the brand or get the check, or I mean, it's the power of saying no. Like, I'm not going to enjoy shooting this. This is not part of my own brand. Um, so I'm gonna pass up on this one. And you can do it a bunch of different ways. You could be honest with them about it and be like, yo, this is not for me. I'm more of this type of person. If you have any projects line with that, I'd love to work with y'all in that light. Or you could tell people, because some people don't take no well. A little trick I learned is I'm not available on that day. So it's no disrespect, and then I'm just doing other things on that day. I'm not available. Hopefully we can work together in the future on something else when I'm available and you have a project aligned that way, right? But yeah, I feel that's how I go about things in those situations. I'm very upfront about what I'm trying to take, and I'm learning more so now the power of saying no if it's not something I feel I'm going to enjoy or um not in line with my creative vision. I'll turn it down. How I turn it down depends on who I'm working with and what I'm dealing with, but like I'll turn it down if it's not aligned with me. Uh, that's a tough question because I've shot some productions where there were very emotional pieces. Um, but then like if I have me as mine, so I have to be biased. I said I was going to do this when I first heard that Hennessy teamed up with the NBA. I said I'm going to shoot some type of project with them. I'm a big cognac fan. I'm a big NBA fan, and then I love shooting film and photos. So I was like, oh, it's a perfect combination of everything. So when I got that project in, um, I was going to say yes to it no matter what the budget was, what it was, because it's to be a part of that creative. So that would be one of my favorites that I've done um, so far because I spoke it into fruition, and it was like part of like a dream come true. But I do have other projects that's very close to my heart that like are emotional pieces that have helped people when they've seen it, and just told some amazing stories about it. But like if I am being biased, that would be my number one, the Hennessy NBA commercial that I did. And yeah, just a simple fact because it was a dream of mine when I got into this industry, like, oh man, I'd love to do something like this. And I had the opportunity to do it. So that was amazing. There's so many. And I hate having to do that because I know I'm gonna miss people. But I've I've worked with some amazing directors like from Karen Chapman to Siggy Rappaport to Kevin Courtney to Raha Euphoria, um, Matt Eastman. I'm working with some amazing directors. I know I'm missing some because it's hard to get hit with a question like that right off the top. And the same thing with DPs, like the ones I named earlier. There's also like up and coming DPs like Adam Mandrake or Santiago, um, Mark Callison. I know I'm pronouncing his last name wrong. Bush, I'm horrible with last names, but there are tons, right? Of amazing talents out there. And it's hard for me to just name all of them because there's so many, but I follow a lot of them and I pull inspiration from them. And I do want to say this, if you like somebody's work, no matter if they're in your line of industry that you're in or not, you know what I mean, it costs you nothing to just say, yo, I think what you did was dope, right? You never know how it might help that creative where they're at that point in their career or at that point of life that they're in, right? So I try to do that anytime like I'm on social media and I see something, or it's just simply giving it a like or writing a small like, yo, this is really cool, man. Oh, you killed this, or giving them a fire emoji. You know what I mean? Things of that sort, you know what I mean, to help support the community and give people their flowers when you can. But I apologize if I forgot anybody off for the list because there are so many. But that was just what just popped up the top of my head just now. But there are so many people that I've worked with that are great, and those are just like directors and DPs. It also like the my crew, like with Gaffer that I work with a lot. Ator Veston, and he's an amazing gaffer. Um, there are tons of people that I work with that are just amazing, and it's just I could spend your whole podcast naming all of them. Man, it's a lot. And one more, sorry. Shout out to my wife. She's an amazing creative as well, a stylist. She's learning photography now. Um, yeah, she's just amazing. And you can follow her as well. She does her own creative as well. You could find me at Darrell Wonge on Instagram or TikTok. I prefer Instagram if you hit me up on there because I check the DMs on that. Still learning TikTok. And you can also find my email on my Instagram or on my website, darrellwonge.com. And if you have any questions for me or anything, please reach out and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.